Hello, Master Manifestors. It is Olivia Grace, and I am back with another video. And today we're talking about coming out of desire, coming out of the state of desiring, and into the state of the wish fulfilled. This is day 27, I think. It might be the 28th, I'm not sure, of my 30-day challenge. And I have been doing a video a day every day for the month of July. So I'll have that linked in the description if you want to catch up on these videos. I also have coaching links in the description, and I also create guided sat scenes and guided revision scenes for you guys, okay? So let's get into talking about coming out of desire and into the state of the wish fulfilled. And I want to talk a little bit about being in the state of desire, right? Because obviously, when we're trying to manifest something, we are desiring it, obviously, or we wouldn't be manifesting it. But when you are perpetually in the state of desire, desire also implies lack, because you're not wanting something that you have. You're not wanting to watch this video, you're watching it, right? So a lot of times we can, like I said, just stay perpetually in that state of wanting, longing. Where is it? When is it coming? Or we can also be in the state of, like, another state that comes from that state is the state of trying to make it happen, right? And we can be trying to make it happen through action. We can be trying to make it happen through techniques. But in each of these things that we're doing is the awareness of it's not here yet, and how can I get it to be here, right? And something that Neville says in one of his lectures, I'm not sure which one it is, but he says you can't take your desire, like, you can't be wondering how your desire is going to come about when you know that it has already come about, right? So being able to move out of desire and into the wish fulfilled, you are moving from lacking, longing, wanting to having, being, experiencing, right? Now, I totally get, and I think we've been covering this in pretty much all the videos that I've been recording for this month, of, well, how do you actually do that? Especially when maybe something is very pressing or is very emotionally jarring or whatever. Hi, Libra love. And so there is kind of like a trick, because I started talking about this in yesterday's video a bit, about not trying to get, but realizing that everything is coming to you, right? And I'm not trying to say that in a way of Hydrocarious. I'm not trying to say that in a way of, like, law of attraction, things are outside of you, magnetizing to you. But I'm saying it's this idea of the consciousness that you're in is the consciousness of someone who is always receiving, right? Oh, you've been watching Rev Ike, Dracarius? I'm wondering how you like that. I'm sure you loved it. But it's coming out of the consciousness of trying to get, the consciousness of where is it, or how do I become, or all of these things, into I am just being, and everything that I'm wanting is as a byproduct, right? And this is a state in itself, right? And it really is that state of being in the God self, of knowing that all is mine already. All is mine already. There's nothing to really get, right? So now coming into that state, hi Esros, coming into that state, you guys, a very easy way to do it, which you can do no matter where you are in relevance to your desire, is to become present, you guys. Because yesterday I was just basically like driving, and I was like, like thinking like, okay, what should I, like, how can I be productive with my thoughts right now? How can I be, productive with, maybe some affirming, or maybe some subliminals, or maybe some something. And I realized in that state, it just didn't feel good to me, to be honest. In that moment, it just didn't feel good to me, of feeling like I needed to try to do something to get something, right? Hi, Emma. And so, and I asked myself, I said, okay, now, what would the version of me that is completely knowing her power, completely in her power, completely expecting every single thing to work out the way that she wants it to work out, what is the energy that she would be in? And I realized I've come to this conclusion a few times, but it is a feeling or state of just complete like goodness. Like it's like complete just content. It's a complete, there's not, again, in the midst of the fulfillment of your desires, there is not any desiring. There's no wanting when it comes to that thing, right? So but when you come into, so then I start thinking, okay, like she wouldn't be doing anything, but I still wasn't really feeling the way that I wanted to feel, because I've been in the wish fulfilled. I know what that feels like. It's a really good feeling, to be honest. And I could tell that although I was no longer grasping, I wasn't quite there. And so this morning when I woke up, I realized like this is what I was talking about when I was talking about states of consciousness, you guys. And the higher your state of consciousness, the less efforting you have to do on any level, right? The less efforting that you really have to do, even when it comes to techniques and manifesting. And you guys, I'm not telling you in this not to do techniques, right? This is something that you basically have to experience for yourself or have to come to on yourself. You have to do basically what you feel good about at that moment. So if at the moment that you feel like techniques are helpful to you, then that's what you should be doing. But if you get to a point to where you almost feel like a technique is redundant. And when we're really taking on the consciousness of God, the consciousness of Jesus, right? Of man, but fully awakened as God and operating as such in this reality, right? Again, when we think about Jesus and the miracles he was doing, Jesus didn't say, okay, I'm about to raise this man from the dead. I'm going to script for 30 days. This guy raised from the dead. He didn't do that. It was just he was so conscious and so just knowing that what I say is going to be, period, it was instantly. There was no time lag. There was no anything like that. It was a desire and fulfilled. It wasn't, I don't know if you can even call it a desire. I guess you can, because that's the kickstart of creation, right? That's what brought us all here, right? Is a desire, is something that we wanted, something that we wanted to. That's what we're doing here as gods, right? As gods manifested as human, as the formless in form, right? The formless in form, giving form to the formless. It's pretty trippy. But we're doing that, right? And there's levels to this shit, right? Like when we talk about like law of attraction, where most of us came from, where we're thinking like, we have to, I was reading a comment somewhere yesterday, and she was talking about how she had changed her whole diet. She had went to like raw vegan, trying to get her vibrations high enough so that she can manifest. We come from such limited things to where then we come to the law of assumption. It's like, no, I can assume it. And these are the things that we can do. But I think as we rise in consciousness, we understand more and more and more that there is nothing to do. It's only about becoming consciously aware and really occupying that state and staying in that state as much as you can, returning to that state as much as you can. But when we're doing this from the consciousness of being God manifested as a person, it almost makes, like I said, it makes the technique sometimes can seem redundant when you're really kind of dwelling in that state. And so now, what you do is actually come into presence, right? Come into the moment now and experience the moment, right? Experience your day. Like that was what my guides told me. And I'm gonna do this today. You guys, I encourage you to do it as well. But they told me, instead of today focusing on trying to impress your mind, trying to saturate your mind, trying to do this, trying to do that, we want you to just focus on being. And focus on appreciating just what is around you. Like focus on being in the now of what is. Because when you're focused on being present, you are not resisting anything, okay? You're not pushing against anything. That was the other realization. That was the realization that I had when I woke up. And I was kind of just observing myself, where I was mentally, right? And I could see that I was in desire, right? I'm like, okay, I want this thing, I want this thing, I want this thing. And these are the things that I need to do to kind of, make those things happen. And these are, all of these things. And I could see that when I just be present in the moment, in that moment, I was in kind of a dissatisfactory mood towards life. Right. And I remember somebody in my group on Facebook one time was saying how she has created a beautiful relationship between her and life. And I was like, that is so deep, because I mean, honestly, the relationship that most of us have between us and life is hard. You know, it's difficult. It's this, it's that. It's not many of us that have a beautiful relationship with life itself, with all that makes life it, right? It's more of, especially I feel like as a manifester, of okay, what's the next thing I need to hit? Not even just as a manifester, as a regular person, what's the next goal I need to hit? What's the next ceiling I need to bust through? What's the next thing I need to accomplish? Okay, I've achieved this level. What's the next level, right? And it's kind of just on and on and on, but nowhere in that are we actually stopping and being in what we're in, like stopping and being. Like, when's the last time you actually ate your food conscious of being, like, conscious that you're eating your food? We're most of the time like shoving food down our throat, like, okay, let me hurry up so I can get to where I'm trying to go next. Everything in life is like this get to, it's like this going to. And that's, I feel like that is why we're kind of in that state of grasping all the time, of needing something, wanting something. It's out there. It's all out there. It's here next year, next 10 years, next tomorrow. But we give no like reverence to the present moment, which is all that we have and all that we will ever have, right? So, in the present, when you are actually being in the present, and it's not to say that you're saying, okay, what is in front of me is just all I'm going to have. I'm never going to have my desires, so I'll just be okay and accept that. That's not at all what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when you are in tune and tapped in with the God self does not need for anything. The God self is not desiring for anything. The God self is just being, right? And because of that, it's automatically drawing to it all the things you've already set hella intentions, right? But in that presence, in being, just being, no longer seeking, right? No longer desiring, you are in the receptive mode. You are in the state of a receiver, right? It's kind of like when they talk about breathing in and breathing out. If you hold your breath, you're never going to have another breath to breathe, right? So it's like if you're always desiring, that's like perpetual, and we don't even realize it, because like we'll desire for sometimes years trying to manifest something. We get it, and by that time we're already at the consciousness where that makes sense for us to have. So it's kind of just like, okay, cool, well, what's the next thing? And we're maybe actually in the place of fulfillment for a few, days, maybe a couple days, maybe a couple hours even, right? And then it's on to the next. And even we might actually be more in the feeling of fulfillment while we're trying to manifest something than when we actually manifested it, because we're actively practicing being in that feeling. But it's so easy for us to just fall back into desire and live perpetually there, which is a state of lacking, of needing, which God is just not experiencing, right? So when you come into that, I knew I should have put my phone on do not disturb, but anyways, when you come into that state of being still, being present, and being, and really it's a state of acceptance, right? Instead of like, and I'm trying to articulate this the best that I can, but instead of looking at life, like I said again about the relationship with life, when you like, okay, let's take it away from relationship with life and let's take it to something familiar. We've all heard of having a relationship with money, right? So if your relationship with money is negative, if you have a negative idea about money, then we know that, well, money is going to show up in a negative way in your life somehow, some way, right? Now, take that idea to the relationship to life. If your constant view on life is this needs to change, this is not right, what's in front of me is not good, I hate the fucking 3D, I can't wait for all this shit to change. If that is perpetually the state that you're in, how can it really change, right? And even when it does change, it changes to something that you're still in that state of this needs to change, something needs to change, right? So when you're perpetually in that state, it's a state of resistance. It's a state of what's in front of me is not right, and a state of kind of pushing against what's in front of you. When you come into a state of presence, of just being accepting of what's in front of you, again, not saying, oh, what's in front of me is all that will be, but I know that everything that I've called forth is done. I know that everything that I've manifested is done. So there's no need for me to feel lack or feel desire or feel anything. I can be present in this moment and see every single thing that's unfolding in front of me as a part of my desire unfolding, as a part of all of this unfolding. And really, though, the best way to be present, and like, because you don't even want to really stay there, right? When your desire comes to your mind, you want to remind yourself it's already done, it's already unfolding. But what you really want to do is immerse yourself into the present moment, immerse yourself into the day, into the moment, into what's actually going on around you. I started, like, I was reading, like I read every morning, and I was reading, and as I was reading, I was like, let me be present while I'm reading. And I realized how many words I just skip over usually. I'm just skimming. I'm trying to hurry up and read this so I can get the information and get it into my brain and hurry up and get, like, it's like that's the way that we're like going through life, right? But when you stop, you see the things that you've missed, right? When you stop and you be present and you're in the life, there's no resistance. You're in acceptance, you're in appreciation. Your desires are still unfolding. And not only that, but you're definitely at a higher state of consciousness where things just work out easier and smoother for you. Okay. So, Jacaria said, yes, that's what I'm trying to do. I don't want to think about my SP. Like, I just want to live. I feel that. And I hear that, Jacarius. And you guys, I want to say, and to you, Jacarius, now, I do want to say that when you have an assumption or when you have a story around something and you want that to change, you do have to change that, okay? Because your story, like, sometimes we can leave things alone, but whenever we do pick that back up or pick it whatever back up, it will be where it left off. So just be sure that you have kind of changed your mind and relevance into what you want, because I'm not saying at all not to change your mind on what you want if your mind is not currently aligned with that. What I'm saying is once you do that, come into a state of being present, come into the wish fulfilled. Okay, so I intend that makes sense. I intend that that's helpful and prospers, you guys, and I love you guys so much. I'll see you tomorrow.